What three words would I describe Tom Schaudel? I would have to say witty, knowledgeable, and get it done.
Cool. I think of humor, and I think of wine.
He's smart and sincere.
If you like to eat out on Long Island, chances are you've eaten at a Tom Schaudel restaurant.
And I can't begin to tell you how many times somebody in a restaurant says, oh, I've wanted to work for Tom, I have worked for Tom.
Tom doesn't sear any steaks, brew any coffee, or bake a cake. In fact, these days, he's rarely in the kitchen. But he's had a major impact on our local restaurant landscape.
Tom Schaudel is really the godfather of the new American movement on Long Island.
Schaudel is one of Long Island's most well-known restaurateurs with a career that spans over 36 years. To those in the local restaurant industry, he is a master.
Tom came that first night. He brought us equipment that I didn't even realize I needed. He really has a good heart. He's the man, and I appreciate him.
If you're not familiar with Schaudel's influence, keep watching and meet a culinary legend who helped build the Long Island dining scene. This is Tom Schaudel, our local restaurant king. This culinary force is rarely still, whether he's expediting at his new restaurant Kingfish, chatting with guests at his popular restaurant show, or strumming guitar with his band The Hurricanes. It's clear that Schaudel's energy and passion for his work shows no signs of slowing down. A chef like Tom has tasted and probably cooked it all, so I wanted to have a little fun with him, admittedly to my culinary benefit, by presenting him with a task. I asked Tom to cook 3 dishes with wine pairings that he felt best represented his style and career. And this is your latest restaurant, this beautiful place is Kingfish. Yeah. A stately name for a stately space. Tell me all about your first course.
Well, this is a dish that's been kind of following me around for about 30 years. I had a place called Lemongrass years ago. Right. I built this kind of an Asian-inspired contemporary restaurant. So that's what we did here. So we have a Thai-flavored red curry mussel. It's flavored with basil, cilantro, Thai red curry, and some different herbs and spices in there. And the great part about mussels is they have that that opening there. You can kind of fill it with the broth, you know.
What a bold, delicious flavor! It immediately hits you with this this broth. Tell me about the broth.
Well, the interesting thing about Asian cuisine is that they try and touch all 5 parts of your sense there. You know, your sense of taste. You know, the sweet, sour, bitter, salty. Right. And umami, the savory.
There's so much that you have introduced to the island, and whether you have been meaning to be or not, an architect of what the Long Island dining scene is today, right?
I don't know. I mean, that's for other people to figure out, I guess. You know, I just did what I really love to do, and I was lucky because I was able to turn 2 bad habits into a career.
Which is what?
Eating and drinking.
Your winery, tell me.
Yes. Well, it's Pominock Vineyards out on North Fork in Agawbog, and I basically have the run of the winery and make all the wines that I make there. What I do is I just basically go in there and I blend the wines. I choose the barrels from their stuff that I want, and I make my own blends, which are different from theirs. And I don't really have to worry about selling thousands and thousands of cases, so I basically just make wine that I like. But that was the mission statement, was to kind of make stuff that would pair for my own food.
The wine that Tom creates at Pominock isn't for public consumption. You'd only be able to drink it at one of his many restaurants. I met up with Tom in Agawbog at the vineyard. What brings you so much pleasure about being down here and being a part of this?
You know, the interesting thing about wine is it's the only living beverage in the world. It's actually alive in the bottle, it's alive in the tank.
Fermented, right?
And every year it's different. You know, the weather conditions are different, the soil conditions can change. Good year, bad year, sun, no sun, you know. So it's exciting. Every year it's a whole different crop and a whole different thing. So that's what makes it so much fun for me.
Kareem Massoud is the winemaker at Pominock Vineyards and meets with Tom when he wants to invent a new wine. It's an easy affair because Tom usually knows what he likes and what he wants.
I'm looking for the missing note. I'm looking for that magic thing. You know, it's kind of ethereal. It's not.
So it's a deliciousness that you're looking for.
It's like I'll know it when I taste it, and you'll see as this process unfolds how much one little percentage point will completely either send it to the moon or put it right off the rails.
You like it?
Yeah.
Did we find it?
I think so.
Did we find the next TS of
I
the day?
think this is the next TS Chardonnay.
Great. Tom's creation for our second course was skate with shiitake mushrooms, butternut squash, tomatoes, and sage.
If you don't like fishy fish, this is the one for you. It's like flounder with a little bit more oil content, so it has a little bit stronger flavor, but it's very mild, and you'll see when you
Kind
taste
of like a
it.
scallop it reminds me of
Yeah,
sometimes, right?
absolutely.
That is delicious. The sage is really nice.
It's really mild too, you know.
I would say arguably that the restaurant that kind of put you on the map was Cool Fish. You've
Yeah,
had lots of fish restaurants after.
Schaudel has had an immense career so far, one that spans close to 4 decades.
So I lied my way into a dishwasher's job at 15 years old because you had to be 16 and whatever. And that's how it happened, and I get into the restaurant business, I was kind of seduced by the culture.
After opening Panama Hattie's in 1982, he hit it big with Cool Fish in 2000 in Syosset. A series of many more restaurants began serving diners, including a Mono in Mattituck and a Lure Osteria and Chowder House in Southold. Tom's latest enterprise, Kingfish, opened in July of 2018.
You know, I have the attention span of a 2-year-old apparently, but you know, I get restless, I get bored a little bit. By my math, I've probably served about 2.5 million people on Long Island, because I've been at this 50 years.
So then, in a sense, you are that perfect restaurateur because you know how to spot when that tipping point is about to turn.
Oh, it becomes obvious. It's, you know,
Yeah.
when everybody's screaming at you for money. I mean, it's, look, it's a business that has a 10% success rate. You can look at the top 10 restaurants in the Zagat Guide from 1985, and I promise you 16 of them aren't there, you know? So
It's a fickle business.
it is, and you're at the mercy of everybody, especially now with the advent of Yelp. Everybody's a critic, everybody's got an opinion. That all affects you in some way, you know, and it gets harder and harder and harder.
Though cooking is what gets Tom out of bed every morning, it's the guitar that provides his daily therapy. A pivotal moment happened for Schaudel after he saw musicians like Jimi Hendrix and the Beatles perform in the 60s. He bought a guitar right after watching them jam. And from that moment on, he decided he could do nothing else. He would be a rock star chef.
When you have a creative mind, it doesn't let you rest because there's so much out there.
The Hurricanes have performed over 30 years together. Schaudel transfers those soulful musical vibes on stage to his establishments. He says it helps him to make better day-to-day business decisions.
What is that average day for Tom Schaudel?
I spent a lot of time at Jewel. Jewel is the biggest.
Because that's a beast, right? It's
Oh,
got
it is.
many moving parts.
It is, and it has a lot of employees, so it requires the most attention. It's like the teenager of the group. We'll figure it out one way or the other. Madre Superiore, quanto ravioli tu haces? I like the action. You know, it's like, I really think that life is a gift that a lot of people sometimes take for granted. Is he making that beet salad over there? What's he doing? My daughter, you know, handles this place with my partner Adam. And
Courtney.
Courtney. And my partner Adam handles the two out east. I don't know what it is people see in Sauvignon Blanc. It's never been my grape. This is still fun for me after 50 years. I still get the same feeling going into a restaurant as either an owner or a customer that I got the first time I saw that this could be possible.
Our third course was a meaty swordfish with mushrooms, topped with tomatoes and basil.
This kind of represents you, I don't know, if you were to say a certain stage, what would that be? Would that be present? Would that be the future?
Well, I'm a little meatier than I used to be, so it's probably present. You know, swordfish comes from Montauk, and it's, you know, it's fished about, you know, a couple hundred miles offshore here. That brown sauce in there is made with chicken. I think it pairs well with the fish.
A nice fattiness too.
Which brings the red wine into play because you have the richness of the chicken and you have the meatiness of the fish and then the tomato.
Tom has made a brand for himself by sticking up for local Long Island chefs who clash with unruly, sometimes rude diners.
What is that perfect Long Island diner today? Like, it's different 10 years ago, it was different 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think that, for me, the perfect diner is the guy who's interested in food. You know, you have people who eat to live and then people who live to eat. I like the second group, you know, because it allows you to express yourself as a chef. You know, when you get people come in, I can't have this, I can't have that, this makes me fat, that makes me fart, I can't, I'm neurotic, you know. What do? It's like it takes all the fun out of it. I'm trying to create something, to have something cool here, and you've just dismantled the entire thing. Good morning and welcome to Playing with Fire, Long Island's only food, wine, and lifestyle show. I'm your host, Tom Schaudel, and I'm broadcasting to all you food-crazed deviants across Long Island.
How did the show come about? What do you do here?
Well, you know, I wrote a book in 08 or 09, and you know, about my worst customers and yada yada, and somebody got word of it, so they asked me if I would do a segment on one of the morning shows with Jim and Kim. So I was doing an appearance every once in a while, and one thing led to another, and we started talking about this radio show thing. It was kind of fun, you know, and it was born out of that. We've had blind tastings on the air. We've opened oysters, you know, on the radio, which is an interesting, you know, since you can't see it. But it's always been a lot of fun. It's just, and I think it's a subject that everybody, you know, knows and loves. I mean, you eat 3 times a day. And the show kind of got caught on, and it, you know, it got popular. So we've been at it 9 years now. When I was a kid, when you had a nut allergy, you just didn't eat a nut. Right. You know, now if you have a nut allergy, everybody within 20 square miles has to, you know, they have to throw their nuts away because, you know, this nut has a nut allergy.
Playing with Fire is a weekly show that is characterized as a Long Island food, wine, and lifestyle. We start talking about things, and it just ends up being a conversation as though the two of us were hanging out and just talking shop.
The most popular appetizer, P.S., in the last 50 years, and still heavyweight champion in the world, is pigs in a blanket. It's hilarious.
But your pigs in a blanket are made with Kobe beef.
And we've had, you know, interesting guys. We had Sonny from The Godfather on here, Johnny Russo. We had Frank Pellegrino, who had that infamous restaurant in the city in Harlem.
Well, I'm guessing that the fans who know your voice and the radio show might get a kick out of seeing this and what your pigs here look like. So I'll let you do your show.
The Starship Enterprise.
Yeah, exactly.
And now for dessert, a Rocky Road ice cream cake. Tom is definitely a chocolate lover.
I used to eat Ben & Jerry's by the gallon, you know, and Rocky Road was one of my, that and Dastardly Mash were my 2 favorites. So we took the flavors of those and kind of transferred into a dessert.
I love the flavor combinations. It's not too sweet. There's some bitterness of that nice chocolate, and I love the texture.
This 65-year-old's Westbury born and bred's influence is still strong.
He's really the only chef that's probably has that kind of presence where he's established himself in Nassau County. He's established himself out on the East End for many years, whether it's Montauk, Amagansett, the North Fork.
His restaurants encompass what he's all about. Not only am I going to get good food, I'm going to get interesting food. And if you're lucky enough, you might even get a story or 2 out of him.
He's a mentor and consultant to countless chefs on the island, and his influence continues to spread.
I've never heard anybody say cross things about him, and if I did, there would be a problem.
He's definitely one of our celebrities on Long Island. I think very recognizable, and deservedly so.
The cook with a colorful bandana is one of our very own icons.